Next problem. In a meter bridge, a copper coil is connected in the right gap. Copper coil is connected in the right gap, and a resistance of 10 ohm is in the left gap. The balance point is obtained at 0.2 meter. The resistance of the coil is, now here the standard resistance is in the left gap and the coil is in the right gap. You should be careful about this concept. Okay. Option A 40 ohm, B 5 ohm, C 20 ohm, and D 2.5 ohms. Okay, the formula we know. In the left gap we have a standard resistance box 10. Therefore, in the right gap we have a coil. Therefore, that resistance has to be found out. Therefore, 10 by Y is equal to, the balancing point is 0.2. Always the balancing point is from the left side, that is positive of the battery. It should be connected to the terminal A. On that basis we are working out. So 10 by Y is equal to 0.2 divided by 0.8. 0.2 divided by 0.8 is 1 by 4, and cross multiplying we get Y is equal to 40 ohm. So 40 ohm is the right answer. Now here if you choose Y by 10, then the answer will be different, then we will get the wrong answer. Okay, should be careful about the question. So A is the right answer here. A conductor wire having 10 to the power of 29 free electrons per meter carries a current of 20 amps. If the cross section of the conductor is 1 millimeter square, then the magnitude of the drift velocity of the electron will be. Options: A 6.25 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter per second, B 1.25 into 10 raised to minus 5 meter per second, C 1.25 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter per second, D 1.25 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter per second. Now here we have to calculate the drift velocity. We know the expression for the current in terms of drift velocity. I is equal to NEAVD. That formula we know. N is the number of electrons and E charge of the electron. A, it is the area of cross section, and VD, it is the drift velocity. Now we have to calculate the drift velocity. Therefore, drift velocity VD is equal to I divided by NEA. Now substituting the values. So it is 20 divided by 10 raised to n number of electrons, it is 10 to the power of 29 into charge is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 into area of cross section 1 millimeter. Therefore, it is 1 into 10 raised to minus 3 whole square. Now we know that 1 by 1.6, it is 0.625. That 0.625 is multiplied in the numerator to 2. Therefore, it is 1.25. Now the 1.25 in the numerator we have got. Now we have to work out the power. In the denominator, it is 10 raised to minus 3 square is 10 raised to minus 6, and minus 19, it is minus 25, and 10 raised to plus 29, it is 10 raised to plus 4. If it goes to the numerator, it is 10 raised to minus 4, and in the numerator we have 20 there, therefore it is 10 raised to minus 3. Obviously, the drift velocity is 1.25 into 10 raised to the power of minus 3 volt per meter per second. 10 raised to minus 3 meter per second. Next problem. Answer C is the answer, 1.25 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter per second. Next problem. Temperature coefficient of resistance of a platinum is 4 into 10 to the power of minus 3 per degree Kelvin at a 20 degree Celsius. The temperature at which increase in resistance of a platinum is 10% of its value at 20 degree Celsius. Now options: A 25 degree Celsius, B 70 degree Celsius, C 45 degree Celsius, and D 100 degree Celsius. Now here the rise in resistance is given, that is 10%. We have to calculate the temperature. Now R2 is equal to R1 into 1 plus alpha into T2 minus T1. Now T2 is equal to T1 plus, we know the another formula, that is T2 is equal to direct formula, T2 is equal to T1 plus R2 minus R1 divided by alpha into R1. Here R1 and R2 are not given, we will choose them. Now R1, if I take it as R1, and R2 is 10% of R1. 10% of R1 means it is 1.1. Okay. Now with that manner we have substituted. Temperature T1 is given 20 degree plus R2 we have taken 10% of R1, it is 1.1 minus R1. 1.1 R1 minus 1.1 R1 is equal to 0.1 R1 in the numerator. In the denominator, alpha is given 4 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into R1. Keep it as it is. Now R1 get cancels. Now 0.1 divided by 4, that is, we know value of 10 to the power of minus 3 is taken to the numerator. It is 10 to the power of plus 3 into 0.1. It is 100 by 4. 100 by 4 is 25. 25 plus 20, it is 45. Therefore, the temperature is 45 degrees Celsius. C is the right answer here. Move on to the next problem. In a region, 10 to the power of 19 alpha particles and 10 to the power of 19 protons move to the left, while 10 to the power of 19 electrons move to the right per second. The current is, now A 3.2 amps towards the left, B 3.2 amps towards the right, C 6.4 amps towards the left, and D 6.4 amps towards the right. Now here alpha particle and protons. What is an alpha particle? It is nothing but an helium nucleus having 2 protons. Okay, it is moving towards the left. It is positively charged. Proton, it is also positively charged. It is also moving towards the left. Both are moving towards the left. But electron is moving towards the right. We know that since electron is negatively charged, the conventional current is always in opposite direction to the direction of flow of electrons. We should remember that one. Since electrons are moving towards the right, but the conventional current is towards the left. So therefore, we will work out the charges. Now charge of alpha particle is equal to, since alpha particle is nothing but a helium nucleus having 2 protons, therefore it is 2 into 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19. How many protons are moving? How many alpha particles are moving? It is 10 to the power of plus 19. So minus 19 plus 19 get cancels. That is 3.2 coulomb of charge is moving towards the left due to the alpha particles. Similarly, charge of protons, it is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 into 10 to the power of 19 number of protons. It is 1.6 coulomb. It is towards the left. Now charge of electrons, it is also same 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 into 10 to the power of plus 19. It is 1.6 coulomb. Since electrons are moving towards the right, but the positive charge which causes the conventional current is moving towards the left. Therefore, the total charges moving towards the left side direction are 3.2 plus 1.6 plus 1.6. Therefore, total charge is 6.4. Direction, it is moving towards the left. Hence, C is the right answer. The current is 6.4 amps moving towards the left side. 6.4 coulomb of charge is moving, charge per second, it is current, therefore 6.4 amps. Next problem, consider a current carrying wire, current is I, in the shape of a circle. Note that as the current progresses along the wire, the direction of J, that is current density, changes in an exact manner while the current I remains unaffected. The agent that is essentially responsible for it is purely theoretical one. So A, source of EMF, B, electric field produced by charges accumulated on the surface of the wire, C, the charges just behind a given segment of the wire which push them just the right way by repulsion, and D, the charges ahead. Obviously, we observe the electrons are drifting in the presence of an external electric field. So therefore, obviously B is the right answer. Electric field produced by the charges accumulated on the surface of the wire. B is the right answer here. Electric field is the cause for that one. Okay. Next problem. Two batteries of EMF E1 and E2 with E2 greater than E1 and internal resistance R1 and R2 respectively are connected in parallel to send current in the same direction. They are sending the current in the same direction. Then A, E1 less than E equivalent less than E2, B, E equivalent is less than E1, C, E equivalent is equal to E1 plus E2, and D, E equivalent is independent of R1 and R2. Now in the case of parallel combination of two cells, E equivalent, we have got the relation E equivalent is equal to E1 R2 plus E2 R1 divided by R1 plus R2. We know that relation. Now if you know that relation, then obviously CA will be the right answer. That is, equivalent EMF is lies between the EMF of E1 and E2. Hence, A is the right answer here. Next problem. Two wires of the same material but of different diameter. Wires having the same material but different diameters carry the same current I. If the ratio of the diameters is 2:1, then the corresponding ratio of their drift velocity is, okay, A 4:1, B 1:1, C 1:2, D 1:4. Now here drift velocity, now the diameters are in the ratio d1 to d2 is equal to 2:1. Obviously radius is also in the same ratio 2:1. Now drift velocity Vd is given by I divided by NEA. Now these two material carries the same current, therefore I is constant, the number of electrons and charge is constant, therefore drift velocity is inversely proportional to the area, that is pi r square or pi d square if you choose, therefore Vd proportional to 1 upon d square. Now writing for the two cases, Vd1 divided by Vd2 is equal to d2 square by d1 square. d1 by d2 is 2:1, but d2 by d1 is 1 by 2 whole square. 1 by 2 whole square becomes 1 by 4. Therefore, D is the right answer here. Next problem. A metallic resistor is connected across a battery. If the number of collisions of the free electrons with the lattice is somehow decreased in the resistor by cooling, the current will be A remains constant, B increases, C decreases, D becomes 0. Now here in this case a resistor is given. Now its number of collisions are decreasing. The number of collisions decreasing means the relaxation time increases, that is tau. Tau is going to increase. As tau increases, the drift velocity is directly proportional to the relaxation time, it also increases. Since drift velocity is increasing, the current is directly proportional to the drift velocity, hence current also increases. Now here as tau increases, the current is directly proportional to the drift velocity, which is in turn directly proportional to the tau. Tau increases, the current also increases, hence B is the right answer here. Next problem. A capacitor of 10 microfarad has a potential difference of 40 volt across it. If it is discharged in 0.2 second, the average current during discharge is options A 2 milliamps, B 4 milliamps, C 1 milliamp and D 0.5 milliamps. Now here a capacitor is given 10 microfarad, it is connected to a potential difference of 40 volts. We have to calculate what is the total charge. Now charge Q is equal to C into V. Now 10 into 10 to the power of minus 6 into 40, or it is 0.4 into 10 to the power of minus 3 coulomb. This is the charge. When it is discharged in 0.2 second, the current is given by current I is equal to charge divided by the time Q by T. Q is 0.4 into 10 to the power of minus 3 divided by 0.2. Therefore, it is 2 into 10 to the power of minus 3, that is 2 milliamps is the right answer. Hence, A is the right answer here. Simple problem. Next problem. The alloy Constantan and manganese wire are used to make standard resistance because they have options A. High resistivity, B. Low temperature coefficient of resistance, C. Low resistivity and D. Both A and B. Now it is a theoretical one. Those materials, they are the conductors, they should have the high resistance. They are the materials, they should have high resistivity and the temperature coefficient of resistance should be, it is very low. Therefore, D is the right answer, both A and B. Next problem. The masses of the 3 wires of same material are in the ratio of 1:2:3 and their lengths are in the ratio of 3:2:1. The electrical resistance of these wires will be in the ratio of option A 1:1:1, B 1:2:3, C 9:4:1 and D 27:6:1. So here the ratio of the masses are given and the lengths are given. We know that resistance is directly proportional to length, inversely proportional to the radius, but here they have given the mass. We will look out for the mass dependence of resistance. Okay, R is equal to rho into L by A. If I multiply both the numerator and denominator by L, I will get rho into L square by A into L. But A into L is nothing but it is the volume. A into L area multiplied by the length is the volume of that wire, rho into L square by V. Now I will replace the volume by mass and density. We know that mass is equal to density into volume. Therefore, volume is equal to mass by density. Here it is m by sigma. Instead of rho, I have taken it as density sigma here. So from this relation, resistance of a wire or the material is directly proportional to square of the length and inversely proportional to the mass, or proportional to L square by m. So therefore, R1 is to R2 is to R3 is equal to L1 square divided by M1 is to L2 square divided by M2 is to L3 square divided by M3. Now carefully look here. In the problem, first the ratio of the masses are given 1:2:3, it is the mass ratio, and 3:2:1, it is the length ratio. Now L1 is 3 and L2 is 2 and L3 is 1, substituting that one. So therefore 3 is L1 square, that is 3 square is 9, divided by M1 is 1 is to L2 is 2 square, L2 is 2, therefore L2 square is 2 square is 4, divided by M2 is 2 is 2, L3 is 1, therefore 1 square is 1 and M3 is 3. Therefore we get 9 is to 4 by 2 is 2 is to 1 by 3. Now if you multiply the right hand side by 3, you will get 9 3 is a 27 is to 6 is to 1. Therefore R1 is to R2 is to R3 is equal to 27 is to 6 is to 1. Hence D is the right answer here. Next problem. 2 wires of same dimensions but resistivity rho 1 and rho 2 are connected in series. The equivalent resistivity of the combination is 2 wires having the same dimension but resistivity is different. Okay, option A square root of rho 1 rho 2, B rho 1 plus rho 2, C rho 1 rho 2 divided by 2 and D none of these. Now here the two materials are having the same dimension. If we take R1 is the resistance of the first wire, then R1 can be written as rho 1 L divided by A. L and A are same, rho 1 is different. Similarly for the second wire, R2 is equal to rho 2 into L by A. Now therefore if you add them, I will get R1 plus R2 is equal to L by A into rho 1 plus rho 2. Since they are connected in series, what is the total length becomes? Now it is 2L. Therefore equivalent resistance R equivalent is equal to 2L by A into rho equivalent. 2L, why we have got 2L? Since the two wires are connected in series, therefore the total length becomes 2L. You should remember that point. Therefore comparing these two, we will get 2 rho equivalent is equal to rho 1 plus rho 2. Therefore rho equivalent is equal to effective resistivity, rho equivalent is equal to rho 1 plus rho 2 divided by 2 here. It is not simply rho 1 plus rho 2, it is rho 1 plus rho 2 divided by 2. Hence C is the right answer here. Now this case is little bit different with respect to the resistors in series. When resistors are in series, they are connected in series, the equivalent resistance is simply R1 plus R2. But in the case of resistivity, if the two resistors are connected in series, the effective resistivity is rho 1 plus rho 2 divided by 2. C is the right answer here. Next problem. Two cells of EMF 5 volts and 10 volt are to be accurately compared using a potentiometer of length 400 meter. Which of the following statement is correct? A. The battery that runs the potentiometer should have the voltage of 8 volt. B. The battery of the potentiometer can have a voltage of 15 volts and R is adjusted so that the potential drop across the wire slightly exceeds 10 volts. C. The first portion of 50 centimeter of the wire itself should have a potential drop of 10 volts. D. A resistance R is to be measured using a meter bridge. Student chooses the standard resistance S to be 100. Now carefully look at the answer. Now in the case of meter bridge or the potentiometer, the battery, source battery, should be having a higher voltage. Now here the two cells are 5 and 10, therefore the source battery should be greater than this one. Obviously B is the right answer. The battery of the potentiometer can have a voltage of 15 volts and R is to be adjusted so that the potential drop across the wire slightly exceeds 10 volts. This is purely theoretical one. So B is the right answer here. Next problem. A resistance capital R is to be measured using a meter bridge. Student chooses the standard resistance S to be 100 ohm. He finds the null point at L1 is equal to 2.9 centimeter. He is told to attempt to improve the accuracy. Which of the following is a useful way? Options: he should measure L1 more accurately. B. He should change S to 1000 ohm and repeat the experiment. C. He should change S to 3 ohms and repeat the experiment. D. He should give up hope of a more accurate measurement with a meter bridge. Now here, while studying the meter bridge, we know that the balancing length should be so chosen that it should not be less than 25% and should not be greater than 75%. The balancing point should be between 25 to 75. If you remember that concept, that knowledge, and for the present case, if I calculate what is the resistance R, that given by the formula S into L divided by 100 minus L. Now S is, he has used 100 ohm and L is 2.9 centimeter. That is 100 into 2.9 divided by 100 minus L, it is 97.3. Obviously this is equivalent to 3 ohms. So since the resistance is 3 ohms, the right hand side, that is right gap, should be, the standard resistance should be around 3 ohms, so that we will get the balancing point exactly at the mid region. So therefore option C is the right answer. C is the right answer. He should change standard resistance S to 3 ohms and repeat the experiment. Then he will get the accurate value. Next problem. Therefore C is the right answer. Next problem. AB is a potentiometer wire. If the value of R is increased, in which direction will the balance point J shift? Now look at the diagram. So AB is a wire across which a cell along with the resistance, variable resistance box is connected. On the secondary circuit, a cell is connected along with a galvanometer. Now if the options are A towards B, B towards A, C no current flowing in the circuit, D none of these. Now as and when the resistance value, capital R value in the circuit is increased, the more potential drop is observed across the resistor, and hence across the wire AB the potential drop is decreased. Since potential drop is decreased, the potential gradient also decreases. Therefore potential gradient decreases, obviously the balance length has to be increased. Therefore the J point has to move towards the B. As R increases, potential gradient decreases. Therefore the balance point should increase, and hence the point J should move towards B. Therefore A is the right answer here. Next point. Next problem. Two bars of radius R and 2R are kept in contact as shown in the figure. An electric current is passed through the bars. which of the following is correct? Now this is the circuit they have given. AB is one bar and BC is another bar. They are having different dimensions. AB, whose radius is double the radius of BC, and lengths are also same. The same current is flowing through them. Now options: A, heat produced in bar BC is 4 times that in bar AB. Electric field in both halves is equal. C, the current density across AB is double that of the across BC. Potential difference across AB is 4 times that of across BC. Now since the current is same as AB having larger area, its resistance is smaller. Therefore IR drop is smaller. Therefore D is the wrong answer. Since current is same and area are different, current density no longer equal, and also the current density in the AB is less than that in BC, but in the second option C it is double is given. Therefore C is also a wrong answer. Electric field in both the halves, it is also a wrong answer. Obviously heat produced will be 4 times that of the bar. Let me work out that one. Obviously A will be the answer, we will see it. Now we know that resistance R is given by rho L by A. Now rho L by pi into R square. It is circular in region. Now we will write the resistance for the two bars. AB bar, rho R AB is equal to rho into length is L by 2, pi into its radius is 2R whole square. Therefore it is rho into L by 2 divided by 4 pi R square. Similarly for the bar BC, resistance of RBC is equal to rho into L by 2 divided by pi R square. Now simply comparing these two equations, we found that RBC is equal to 4 times RAB. So resistance of bar BC is 4 times that of AC, and obviously since heat produced is directly proportional to resistance, the heat produced is given by I square into RC. Therefore A is the right answer. Heat produced in bar BC is 4 times that in bar AB. Next problem. A wire of length is drawn such that its diameter is reduced to half of its original diameter. Diameter is reduced to half, therefore N should be 2. If initial resistance of the wire is 10 ohm, its new resistance would be options: A 160 ohm, B 120 ohm, C 140 ohm, D 100 ohm. While discussing the important points earlier, we note that if a wire is stretched so that its diameter or the radius reduces to half of its or 1/nth of its initial radius, then its length increases by n square, but its resistance increases by n to the power of 4 times the initial resistance that we know. Now this is the condition. If a wire of resistance capital R and radius small r and length L is stretched so that its radius becomes 1 by nth times that of its initial radius, then length of the stretched wire becomes n square times the original length, and resistance becomes n to the power of 4 times. Since here in the problem it is reduced to half, therefore radius r is reduced to r by 2, therefore n is equal to 2. Therefore the resistance r dash is equal to n to the power of 4 times r, that is 2 to the power of 4 into r is 10 given. Therefore the answer is 160 ohms. A is the right answer here. Next problem. A 10-meter long wire of resistance 20 ohm is connected in series with a battery of EMF 3 volts, negligible internal resistance, and a resistance of 10 ohm. The potential gradient along the wire is. Now here we have to calculate the potential gradient. Option A 3 volts per meter, B 0.2 volts per meter, C 0.1 volts per meter, D 0.3 volts per meter. Now here in this problem they have given a 3 volts EMF connected across a wire of resistance 20 ohm, and there is a series resistor also, that is 10 ohm. Therefore first we have to calculate what is the current in the circuit. Now current in the circuit is EMF divided by the total resistance. EMF is given 3 volts and the resistance of the wire is 20 ohm and the external resistance is 10 ohm. Therefore, it is 3 divided by 20 plus 10. Therefore, 3 by 30, it is 0.1 amps of current is flowing in the circuit. So, then the wire has a resistance of 20 ohm and the current flowing through it is 0.1 amps. Therefore, what is the potential drop across the wire? The potential drop across 10 meter wire is I into R1, so that is 0.1 into 2, 20, that is 2 volts. Now, this is the 2 volts of voltage is dropped across 10 meter wire. Now, here they have asked potential gradient. Potential gradient means voltage drop per unit length, that is per meter. Therefore, potential gradient is equal to V by L. So, that is equal to 2 by 10, that is 0.2 volts per meter. Therefore, B is the answer here. Next problem. The ratio of the amounts of heat developed in a 4 arms of a balanced Wheatstone bridge, when the arms have the resistance P 100 ohm, Q 10 ohm, R 300 ohm and S 30 ohm respectively. Options: A 3:30:1:10, B 30:3:10:1, C 30:10:1:3 and D 30:1:3:10. So, here they have given a balanced Wheatstone bridge. Since the bridge is balanced, here we have to calculate what is the power dissipated. That is heat developed. Heat developed, that is power dissipation. Now, heat produced is H is equal to I square into RT. With that one, we will write HP, heat produced at the resistor P, is to HQ should be equal to HR is to HS, because the bridge is balanced. Now, as the main current enters the junction, since the bridge is balanced, there is no current flowing through the galvanometer, and hence the current through P and Q arm should be same. Let me take it as I1, and current flowing through the R and S arm is the same. Therefore, let me take it as I2. So, therefore, if I write that one, I1 square Pt plus is to I1 square Qt. Now, here I1 and I1 we have taken, because current flowing through P and Q is same, because the bridge is balanced. That is equal to I2 square RT is to I2 square ST. Here we have taken I2, because the same current flows through R and S, because the bridge is balanced. But we have to calculate what is the ratio of I1 and I2. Now, I1 is to I2, the current flowing through P and Q and R and S is decided by the inverse ratio of their resistances. Now, P is 100 and Q is 10, that is total is 110. R is 300, S is 30, therefore total is 330. The ratio of resistances in PQRM is 110 is to RSRM is 330. 110 is to 330. Therefore, current has to be divided in the inverse ratio, that is 330 is to 110. From that notation, I1 is to I2 is 3 is to 1. Now, substituting the values here, I1 is 3 square, P is 100 is to I1 is 3 square, Q is 10 is to I2 is 1 square, R is 300 is to I2 is 1 square, I2 is 1, therefore 1 square into S is 30. Now, simplifying this one, 900 is to 90 is to 300 is to 30. Now, dividing throughout by 30, so we will get 30 is to 3 is to 10 is to 1. Hence, B is the right answer. B is the right answer. 30 is to 3 is to 10 is to 1. Next problem. A wire of resistance 4 ohm is stretched to twice of its original length. Once again, the simple problem. Then the resistance of the stretched wire is, now length is doubled, that is N is equal to 2. The options: A 2 ohm, B 4 ohm, C 8 ohm, D 16 ohm. So, simple relation we have, whenever a wire is stretched to the length n times its initial length, then the resistance becomes N square R. Now, in the given problem it is twice, therefore N is equal to 2, 2 square into R, Therefore 2 square into 4, that is 16. Therefore D is the right answer, 16 ohms. Next problem. The resistance of the 4 arms PQRS of a Wheatstone bridge are 10 ohm, 30 ohm, 30 ohm, 90 ohm respectively. The battery has an EMF of 7 volts and internal resistance of 5 ohm. If the galvanometer has a resistance of 50 ohm, the current drawn from the bridge is options: A 1.0 amps, B 0.2 amps, C 0.1 amps, and D 2.0 amps. Now the Wheatstone network is as shown in the diagram. Now look at the diagram. We have a Wheatstone network, we have battery, and then P, Q, R, S arms. Now this is the simple Wheatstone network I have given. A cell of EMF 7 volts and an internal resistance of 5 ohms is connected across the Wheatstone network. Let me check whether the given network is balanced or not. Now if you take the ratio of P by Q, it is 10 by 3, 10 by 3, 10 by 30, 10 by 30 is 1 by 3. Take the ratio of R by S, 30 by 90, it is also 1 by 3. Now the bridge is balanced. Therefore, there is no current flowing through the galvanometer which is having a resistance of 50 ohm. Hence, we can remove the galvanometer simply. Therefore, P by Q is equal to R by S. So therefore, there is no current flowing through the galvanometer because the galvanometer shows zero deflection. Let me remove that one. Now the circuit reduced to this one. Now here, look here, P and Q are in series and R and S are in series. P and Q series, it becomes 40. R and S are in series, 30 plus 90, it is 120. And those two are in parallel. Let me find out the equivalent resistance. Now the equivalent resistance is 40 and 120 are in parallel. Therefore, we use the parallel resistance formula, R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Therefore 40 into 120 divided by 160 plus 5 is the internal resistance of the cell, that is 5 ohm. Now simplifying this one, we will get 35 ohms. Therefore total resistance of the circuit is 35 ohms and the voltage is 7 volts. Therefore current drawn from the battery is I is equal to E by R equivalent, that is 7 by 35, it is 0.2 amps. Therefore B is the right answer here. Okay. Next problem. The temperature dependence of resistance of copper and undoped silicon in the temperature range of 300 Kelvin to 400 Kelvin is best described by options: A linear increase for copper and linear increase for silicon, B linear increase for copper and exponential increase for silicon, C linear increase for copper and exponential decrease for silicon, and D linear decrease for copper and linear decrease for silicon. Now theoretically we know that copper is a conductor and silicon is a semiconductor. In the case of a conductor, the resistance increases with the temperature linearly, we know according to this diagram. Now here it is the case of a conductor, the resistance increases linearly with the temperature. In the case of a semiconductor, that is silicon, as temperature increases, the resistance goes on decreases as shown in that diagram. With this theoretical knowledge, the answer should be C, linear increase for copper and exponential decrease for silicon. C is the right answer here. Next problem. If a wire is stretched to make it 0.1% longer, its resistance will. Wire options: A increases by 0.2%, B decreases by 0.2%, C decreases by 0.05%, and D increases by 0.05%. Now here the length is increased by 0.1%. Therefore the change in length with respect to the original length, delta L by L, is 0.1. We have to calculate the fractional change in resistance, delta R by R. Now with the knowledge of relative error, we can write delta R is equal to rho into L divided by A. Therefore it is in terms of, say, as the wire is stretched, length changes and area changes. Only quantity is unchanged is the volume. Therefore, if I write it in terms of volume, it is rho into L square by V. Rho and V are constant, therefore R proportional to L square. Therefore, fractional change in resistance, we can write it as delta R by R, and fractional change in length, we can write it as delta L by L. Therefore, delta R by R is equal to 2 into delta L by L. But delta L divided by L is given, that is 0.1%. Therefore, 2 into 0.1%, it is 0.2%. Since the length is increasing, the resistance also increases. Hence, A is the right answer, increase by 0.2%. A is the correct answer. Next problem. Which of the following characteristics of electrons determines the current in a conductor? Theoretical one. Option: drift velocity alone, B, thermal velocity alone, C, both A and B, and D, neither A and B. Now, whenever an electric field or the battery is not at all connected to a conductor, obviously electrons are moving inside the conductor. That is due to the thermal velocity. That will not cause the current. Now we have to get a current in the conductor. That is obtained only when the battery is connected across the ends. As and when the battery is connected, a potential is developed. Because of that potential, the electrons are drifting with a constant drift velocity. So obviously, drift velocity alone is the responsible for the current in the conductor. Hence, A is the right answer here. Purely theoretical one. Next problem. Two conductors are made of the same material and have the same length. Conductor A is a solid wire of diameter 1 mm. Conductor B is a hollow tube of outer diameter 2 mm and inner diameter 1 mm. The ratio of the resistance RA and RB is options: A 2:1, B 3:1, C 1:3, D 1:2. Now we know the value, we know the formula for the resistance. R is equal to rho into L by A here. Now area is pi r square. Therefore, rho into L divided by pi r square. From that one, for the first material, RA is equal to rho into L divided by pi r1 square. Pi r1 square. And RB for the second material, rho into L divided by pi into r2 square minus r1 square, because it is a hollow. B is a hollow tube. It is a hollow tube having the outer and inner radius R2 and R1. Their values are also given. Now we have to find the ratios. Therefore, R1 is to R2 is equal to, from this simple formula, it is R2 square minus R1 square divided by R1 square. Now R2, it is diameter is given 2 mm. Therefore, the radius, it is 1 millimeter square. And R1, it is 1 mm, its radius is 0.5. Therefore, 1 square minus 0.5 square divided by 0.5 square. So, 1 minus 0.5 square is 0.25. In the denominator also 0.25. 1 minus 0.25 is 0.75. Therefore, 0.75 divided by 0.25 is 3:1. Obviously, B is the right answer here.